So welcome back, Base Game Reviews Podcast, Episode 2. I'm WaraWana. I've got Faunatron here with me and Max. So this week, we're going to get straight into the topics. And first off the rip, we're going to go for Wukong. So Black Myth Wukong. We touched on this game a little bit last week, so you guys are probably familiar with it. It's getting a lot of commentary around some of the reviews. They've come in, they've been pretty, I think it's sitting at about 83 Metacritic. We haven't got an early access code, unfortunately. Maybe later.
Maybe it's in my spam folder. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. So now all the reviews, I don't know exactly how many, but I think it was over 40 reviews. I'd have to double check that, to be honest. But so we got no console keys were given out. Now, do you, Max, think this is a bit of a red flag that it's only PC?
To be honest, I haven't looked into this game too much myself. It's gone under my radar, but from the things you said last week and what you just said now, I mean, that doesn't settle well with me. Like, it seems like something's going on.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it'll be quite like Cyberpunk vibes where they were kind of hiding the console version like right until the date it drops, but it's kind of feeling that way, because that is kind of a red flag that not even big websites like Push Square, like big PlayStation websites, got a console key. They also got a PC key. And I think it was one of the IGN reviewers that specifically said that there were a lot of glitches in the game, specifically past Chapter 2, and that was exactly the content that they were not allowed to share in their reviews when the embargo dropped. So that's kind of sketchy right there. But yeah, I was like genuinely surprised that not that many people are talking about that, and then also that a lot of the reviewers are like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people these days sort of seem to just look at that score and just go, okay, 82, it's going to be good, it's going to be that, and they don't really look at the substance of the reviews. They just sort of just go straight to the bottom, see what it is, look at the overall aggregate and go, cool, this game's going to be good. But in reality, it's what's weirdest for me is that the Steam recommended specs were quite low for an Unreal Engine 5 that was high visual fidelity. And then me and Jimmy were talking about it, and it seemed like there was some sort of, I believe there's some sort of like NVIDIA help or something along those lines. Like there's been codes when you buy a GPU or a NVIDIA product that you get a code to the game and things like that. So there seems to be some sort of relationship there, and maybe they just really wanted the, I thought before the reviews that they were going to make sure that the PC version was up to scratch and then console after, because we didn't mention it, but the Xbox console version is coming, but it's been delayed because of they want to make sure that the PC and PS5 is ready first and then go to Xbox. But
was that another situation where it's like it's because Microsoft demands that games be able to launch on the Series S and X at the same time? So like it's one of those Series S issues again, or
yeah, so like obviously something with lower spec hardware, like it could be ported to the Switch. Like I'm not a dev or anything, but like you got Doom Eternal on the Switch, and so like if they believe there'll be enough sales, Hogwarts Legacy's on the Switch, and that's like a game that absolutely chugs for performance and things like that. So I think that they're saying that because they are forced by Microsoft to do Series S and X versions, that it will just take longer, sort of how Baldur's Gate 3 was delayed on Xbox. But at the same time, it is coming. It is coming to that console. But, you know, all things considered, it looks like they've gone with like trying to optimize for PC first. But then when the reviews came out, and as Jimmy mentioned, there's not the best performance on PC, even though that looks like they're going for that first. It is a little bit of a red flag to me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I'm really surprised that there isn't also going to be a Switch port, because they got Pokemon Scarlet Violet to run on the Switch somehow, and apparently that game is made for a game PC rig with a 4090 in it because it's got so much tech.
Damn.
But yeah, like Yeah, a few important things there. So I don't want to like go poo-pooing on the Xbox console and stuff. Like that does make sense, okay? Like I feel like a lot of games have troubles with optimization to begin with, right? So having to optimize for not one platform but for three, or like PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. So that's technically 4 different platforms that you have to optimize your game for. And if you're crunching for a timeline already, then yeah, like I think it is easier to just drop out of either one platform or a couple platforms. In this case, it'd be Xbox. So another thing too, and this might be foreign to Max because he's a console peasant. He's doesn't have a hot gamer girl PC yet. Maybe one day we'll convince him, but he's too cool for school anyway. So, but Wara, on your laptop rig, what were you getting on the benchmark for Wukong?
So I didn't actually download the benchmark yet. Because I saw a lot of discussions around what other people were getting. So I did mention I was going to download it, but because so many other people had downloaded it and done it, I thought there'd be enough data anyway. Liar! So I didn't get around to it, but I am likely to download it just to test it. And then because a lot of people are saying how the benchmark doesn't look like it's really testing real world performance, because a lot of people are getting amazing performance on that benchmark. And, you know, I did comment because I was talking in another Discord about it, and like obviously a benchmark isn't real world performance like within a normal game, but it does seem like maybe the devs made it seem like performance is going to be better than it will actually be with those benchmarks, because a lot of the stats that I saw, I shared a few results with you of other people's hardware. They were getting really good results compared to what we're hearing from the reviews, but
it was a very scripted, like it's just like a lot of like, again, landscape shots, and you're kind of going through a track on rails, and like performance is going to be drastically different when you have a bunch of NPCs on the screen and you have like a bunch of special effects animations going off, and like you're doing a bunch of combos and stuff. So yeah, like your performance is definitely gonna be very different when you got a lot of stuff going on the screen. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I do think it's a red flag. There isn't any console keys going out to reviewers early. And I think like they had a partnership with NVIDIA for sure, and they were part of like the RTX tech demos for like years, for the last 3 years. Whenever they've been showing on this game, it was like a big showcase for RTX ray tracing on NVIDIA graphics cards. And so they had that partnership with NVIDIA, and that maybe helped them out a little bit. And then also, was it Wukong or was it some other developer that was talking about how Sony really partnered with them and then helped them with the optimizations for the PS5 port? But we're yet to see that. But yeah, like I think it's a red flag for sure. Repeating myself, like when Push Square, a huge PlayStation website, like openly says they did not get a review code and they can't put out their proper review yet. And then also IGN, huge reviewer, puts out their review and then says like, we got another part of this review that's going to drop when we're allowed to, when the game releases, that shows off a bunch of the bugs and shit that we encountered past the point that we were not allowed to show. And I think that's good of them to do, like to be upfront about that. But for that being said, I want to pose a question to the two of you, and then you guys have gone over this in your reviews as well. What kind of bugs and glitches do you think should lower a score of a game?
Ooh, I like that question.
I think for me, a bug or glitch that should affect the score is one that affects the player experience in a way that is detrimental to the game, the core game, like the gameplay loop. So an example of one that I wouldn't say is an issue is a glitch where the character's hair falls off. While it's annoying and it doesn't look good, if the character's hair just like disappears, or if we look back at Assassin's Creed as a very bad example, a very drastic example of during cutscenes the face would not be there but the eyes would be there. I like that. I might start to want to degrade the score due to not like really ruining immersion. But whereas something that like stops me from being able to finish a quest immediately, that would just tank the score.
Yeah.
Because that's stopping me from regressing, or something that doesn't trigger during a combat, like a combat skill not functioning, something like that. That's something that I would definitely degrade it for. And obviously fully crashing the game that's pretty clear that if a game crashes during gameplay and you lose progress, 100%. But things that are more visual and not really ruining your gameplay, like obviously it ruins immersion when there's like something that's like turns a different color or something along those lines, just making a scenario up at the moment. But yeah, something like character's hair or something not sitting right, or an arm flailing, or something like Skyrim was an example of when the trolls like smashed you into the ground and you went flying, like you ragdolled like ages away. That was like I don't think that's a bug, but like let's say it was a bug. That's not something that I would degrade less because it's a bit funny. But yeah, that's just my take anyway. Yeah, Max?
What about you, Max?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. That was really thorough. I was just thinking about like you mentioned the word immersion a couple of times, which is huge. Like, you know, I think that we tend to maybe yell at our games when we're underperforming and blame the game, you know, a lot for maybe things that the developer could have fine-tuned a little bit more. Think about like all the different ways that you can get hit through walls or stairs in like the Souls games by you know, the that golem that throws the boulders in Sen's Fortress is an example. Like you can get hit in that staircase. Like those no-hit runners, they like leave the room entirely in that section. So they're not going anywhere near that. But that's still like we forgive that, right? Like so it's a delicate balance as to like where is this immersion breaking, where is this broken, and where is this like kind of janky and almost funny. Like a lot of the early Demon Souls stuff was janky, and we forgave a lot of that. But yeah, I really like a lot of the points Wara made for sure.
Yeah, for me, like glitches and bugs fall into two categories for me. There's cosmetic glitches and bugs, and then there's like actual progression stopping or gameplay performance kind of bugs and glitches. And for me, like what Wara said, like a lot of cosmetic glitches I can forgive, like especially on launch of a game. Like you're gonna run into like a few weird cosmetic glitches. Like one that comes to mind for me particularly is Stellar Blade. Like there was this one point where I'm riding the train and her ponytail was just going crazy, and I was just like, okay, that's funny, but like it's because it's not incorporating the physics of like being inside the train car. It thinks I'm outside moving really fast. Little things like that, or like there was this one texture on one segment of a wall that was like low res, and I was like, oh, that's funny that one texture like didn't load in properly and it's low res, but like that's not gonna break my immersion in the game. But when it's a bug where like recently when I played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, like you're welcome making me play that terrible game, where to progress the story, I had to defeat like a bunch of NPCs that were just dropped in the level on me. It's like, oh, like get rid of these bad guys so I can land in this spot. But like I traversed to that spot so fast and I killed the enemies before the rest of my companion NPCs got there. So it triggered the event, but I had already killed the NPCs. And then but it was stuck in that game state. It was just like, come on, defeat the enemies. I'm like, I did, bitch. Like, they're not here. Like, they're not loading in. Like, I already got rid of all of them. And it was just stuck there. And I had to because it had a timer for, like, I had to do it within a certain amount of time. And I had to let the timer run out before I could retry. And it sent me all the way to the beginning of this one section. And it was like, that kind of stuff, like, I'm docking you a point if that happens.
Oh, for sure.
That's a live service game, so maybe that's just working as intended.
Yeah.
It's got to
Maybe
pad it. It's got to pad it right up.
Maybe I had to buy a
gameplay.
skin to get past that point. I don't know. But no. So like cosmetic glitches, I don't mind. But like if I play Black Myth Wukong when it launches, as I will, and the glitches that are happening in chapter 2 and beyond, apparently, allegedly, prevent me from progressing in the game, then yeah, like what I'm getting at is I'm shocked that so many places are rating this game 8 out of 10 or like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 when there's glitches like that. But if it's just like a bunch of cosmetic glitches, like grass or shrubs don't load in properly, physics on a cape or a piece of clothing like start wiggling like crazy, like I don't care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I laugh at it in the moment and I'm like, all right, whatever. Like it's not breaking my immersion. But that's the point that I want to make. I'm alarmed at how many game reviewers rate games 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 when they have like these massive problems with the game at launch.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of what I like to sort of write in my reviews is like we review what we have, not what we hope it becomes or what the devs like. Not that we get review codes, but I think that part of our ethos is like reviewing what we have. And I know that a lot of developers like Let's Use Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of them reviewed it and ignored a lot of the bugs and said, well, we got told that a lot of this will be patched day one. So they want to review what everyone will play what they believe and been convinced from the developers what will be played day one. Whereas because we're not getting early review codes, and even if we were, I feel like we would still stick to it, like reviewing what we have in front of us and the performance affecting the score. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
I think that's just,
that's
all I really had to say about that topic.
Easy. All right, so next up we have Gamescom is an opening night live starts Tuesday, and that's American time, so it'll be like Monday afternoon here for me or whatever. Yeah, so we've got Call of Duty. These are things that are going to be there on Tuesday at opening night live at the start of Gamescom, confirmed by Jeff Keighley, the host. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Little Nightmares 3, Dragonball, Sparking Zero, Batman Arkham Shadow, Dune Awakening, the MMO, Marvel Rivals, Squid Game Unleashed, new game from Tarzia Studios, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, and then more. And there will be many new game announcements, surprises, and special guests. Yeah, so 11 a.m. PT time, 2 p.m. ET time.
I didn't realize how many shows that Jeff Keighley has each year. Like he has the Game Awards in December, then he has Summer Games Fest, and then Gamescom. I didn't know that there was a third. I thought it was just Summer Game Fest, and then I was like, I don't want to go into it right away, but I'll let you guys talk first. What do you guys think of that list of games that are like guaranteed?
Yeah, there's nothing really jumping out at me that makes me want to like dive in. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, for me, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a RPG that's looking really good at the moment, and it's apparently confirmed for February next year. Civilization 7, it's just I don't really play those games, but it does have a bit of a good following. Marvel Rivals, we already know a lot about, and it's like a lot of people are beta testing it. Dune Awakening, I am interested in. And Indiana Jones, I want to see some gameplay. Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm excited for. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I'm excited for, like to try it, but at the same time, I don't know if anyone is on the fence about Call of Duty. You're either going to watch it, going to play it or not. It just really brings me back to these showcases, in my opinion, don't matter anywhere near as much as how games actually land, but I don't want to be negative about the show. I hope it's exciting and there's some reveals. Like you have some people that do a great show every year, but their games don't release as well. And you got other people who don't show very well. And then they end up being really good at release. It's an example is Helldivers 2. Every reveal I saw for that and trailer, I was like, probably going to be mid. And then it came out and everyone loved it. And So yeah, it's hard to sort of know exactly how things will land off of trailers. But it is good to get like more information about things. And like I said, June MMO. I'm really interested to see whether that actually can function as a game, as an MMO, because it's a lot of sand. Yeah,
Like one biome.
Yeah. So, but there is technically more areas that, like, I was listening to Force Gaming's video on a bit of an update, and it could be good, but it's like open world PvP, like while you're trying to like get resources. But yeah, overall, I've heard whispers that there might be a PlayStation 5 Pro reveal there, and I don't think it's going to happen, but that's just the whispers.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I think Sony's going to thing for that. But I'm glad Max said it, because when I looked at that list, I was like, I don't give a shit about any of these fucking games. I'm not a shooter person, so Call of Duty, like, I feel like it's just gonna be more Call of Duty, and the people that play that game, they buy every single one that comes out because that's like the only game that they play. So kudos to you. I hope you get the things that you want. Monster Hunter Wilds, I played Monster Hunter World. I didn't like it, but that was like, I don't know, that was back on the PS4. I don't know, maybe I can give it another chance. Asmongold played it and he loved it. He made it like one of his favorite games he's ever played, but for me, I never could really get the hang of it. But I don't know, I'm not like too into that. And like the rest of like the Indiana Jones game, first off, that is like I've said it since they announced the title, shittiest title I've heard. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It's like, I couldn't think of anything better. And what really chaps my ass about that game is like, you're playing as Indiana Jones, but yet it's FPS. It's first person perspective. And
first person whip. So
yeah,
it's
first person whip. And like, there's some segments that are third. It's like, make the whole game third person. Like, you want to see yourself as Indiana Jones. Like, you don't.
But
I would think
the third person version of Indiana Jones has already been made twice. Uncharted and Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Like, they had to, but it's by the devs who do Wolfenstein. So everyone's just saying they just like literally just changed the character, made the Germans not Nazis. Well, no, sorry, they are Nazis, but like not. What's the monsters like? Yeah, like get rid of that and just make them normal. But yeah,
that would be hilarious. It's literally just the Wolfenstein engine, which is like with an Indiana Jones skin on it, and it's got the Meshuggah track on there.
Okay, so check this out. I just want to jump in here because I was looking this up while you guys were talking there about that Indiana Jones game. The one game that for me that does stand out, the one name that I'm familiar with, and ironically I'm wearing my Goku shirt today. There's the Dragon Ball game. I've played one or two like good Dragon Ball games over the years. The two of you probably remember Budokai 3 on the PS2. That was like the sleepover game when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
We put a lot of hours into that. But they've been, I mean, if there's ever a franchise next to Pokemon that has just been milked for every penny that it, like the amount of Dragon Ball games. Do you guys want to take a wild guess at how many Dragon Ball games have been released as of 2015, which is still that's 8 years ago already?
Yeah. Oh, that hurts. Dude, like,
it's a lot.
I feel like it's a lot. Like, I feel like at least, you said 28. I feel like it's like at least 35.
122.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm almost not surprised by that. Like, given like the amount of games that they just keep releasing these games, and they put Dragon Ball in front of it, and then some wacky name next to it to sell a cover. So
and they don't even do like Dragon Ball Green and Dragon Ball Blue and Dragon Ball Red. They're like actually making different games.
Don't give them ideas, Bandai Namco. Don't listen to that.
Whatever Sparking Zero means. But yeah, the franchise is over 45 million units. Nobody talks about that. That's incredible. 45 million units of from that IP and 122 individual releases going back to like Super Nintendo. So, goddamn.
If you have access to a gold mine you're gonna mine that gold. Like,
Start collecting those.
yeah. Holy, yeah. But that one's got a lot of hype around it, Sparking Zero. Like, I've heard a ton of hype around that game. So
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. Like, for all the people that are into fighting games, I really hope it lives up to expectations, because I know a lot of people have been kind of let down by MK1, and I know Street Fighter 6 did really well, and Tekken 8 I feel like did well, but me personally, like, just from an outsider, again, not a fighting game person, I'm a FromSoftware fanboy. I suck off in Glaze Miyazaki on the reg.
You wish you could suck off Miyazaki.
I know, right? But Mortal Kombat 1, like, I feel like it's insulting that, like, they charge you DLC for fatalities. Like, you could pay $10 more for a new fatality. You can pay like, they like have all these character packs, and it's like, I get it, like, you gotta make that bag, right? But, like, taking your game and then like cutting out pieces of it and then selling it as DLC later on, like, I think that is such dog shit. Like, and that's why I will glaze FromSoftware every chance I get. They put out Armored Core 6, and they let you completely customize the color and how your AC looks, and you could even import pictures that you can use as stickers on your AC for free, baby.
That was like the easiest game to make free to play. Core 6. That was so easy just to make free to play. Like, and just charge for all the add-ons, everything,
they have
all the
seasons,
extra missions, side stuff.
They have these new, like,
free to play game.
Like, I can't remember what they call them. It's like VR mode, where, like, you go up against, like, different enemy NPCs that you encounter through the story. They keep adding more, like, every couple of months, and then it's just like all for free. They haven't charged a single extra dime for that. And, like, another thing that I really love, again, every chance I get, I'm gonna glaze FromSoftware because I've got a bias. Destin, you can learn from this. I'm gonna say it up front. But FromSoftware, when you buy their game digitally, like when you pre-order Elden Ring or Armored Core 6 or whatever, and you buy the digital version, even like without like the deluxe edition, you just buy the regular version, they give you for free the PS4 version and the PS5 version when you buy it on console. And I love that. And like other games, it's like, no, you have to buy the PS4 version or you have to buy the PS5 version. And if you get the PS4 version, you can pay $10 later on to upgrade it if they let you do that. But I just love that I get both.
And when you buy them physically, you get a code in the box that has like 1,000 points for you connecting it to your Bandai Namco account. And then you get, with those points, I've got like a free map from Elden Ring. Not map, sorry, like poster from Elden Ring. So like, yeah, that's like nothing. It's like nothing, but it's like free. So
I didn't even know that. I haven't even looked inside my disc box for Elden Ring because I never used that one. I've purchased. We were talking about this last week, but I purchased Elden Ring a disgusting amount of times. Like, I bought it on a New Zealand PSN account so I could play it like 22 hours before everyone else, and I had to like hack my internet connection to a VPN and then route it to like my desktop and then to my console so it would read it as being in New Zealand. And then so I could play it like barely a day earlier than everyone else. Then I purchased it digitally on my actual PSN account, so that's 2 times right there. Then I bought a physical copy of it, so that's 3 times. And then I purchased it on my PC. So I've paid for that game 4 times. And then also when the DLC came out, I got that for my PC and for my PS5 as well. So I put a lot of money into Elden.
All right, we're ready. Oh, Max, did you have anything to add, or you all good?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. All right, so up to my segment now. So this is going to be the game mechanic discussion. Do this every week, so it can be a good or a bad or anything in between mechanic that I just want to highlight for the week. And I thought of doing one for the game I'm reviewing at the moment, which is Path of Exile. As I touched on last week, with Path of Exile, it's a Diablo-like. Like, I hate the term Diablo, like Souls-like and stuff like that. But just for everyone, it's a similar game to Diablo in the sense it's an action RPG. And unlike Diablo, you don't get abilities for leveling up. You just get gems to socket onto your items, and those gems grant abilities. And then some gem sockets have links to other gem sockets, and there's some gems that are support gems that are just change or make something more expensive to cast, like mana wise. So let's say I have an AoE attack, this is an example I have at the moment, which made me with my build at the moment. So an AoE attack, so area of effect attack, are all around me in a cone. Like a full circle around me, not a cone. Full circle around me. I will press like square to wherever I map it to, and it'll just electrocute everyone around me. Now, when I put a specific support gem on it, it changed from being that to turning it into a trap spell. So I throw it now. After I did a certain support gem attached to it, I would throw the AoE, so throw it, and then when an enemy would walk up to it, it would then zap those that area. So it made boss fights a hell of a lot easier, or making it so that, I don't know if you guys have played. I know Jimmy has played Diablo. I'm not sure if Max has, but if anyone in the comments, let me know if you've played Path of Exile. But it makes it so it's like hardest to know what to build for when you're just like fucking around. But if you want to push into a new room when you're like really pushing harder content, going into the room to use an AoE was like, it was almost pointless once I started to get squishy. But being able to just like throw into a room that I don't want to go into because I'll die, made it so I could actually make more progress, and it was really interesting. So the sort of game mechanic is like the major ability for replayability and customization in games. Like, I was just wondering if you guys had any other examples of a game that gives you that much freedom to sort of just like completely change and a set ability to be something else. Because Diablo from memory has similar things, but usually locked behind are unique. And I just wanted to appreciate like the player freedom with that, and just like, there's always going to be a meta. There's always going to be a better thing. Like, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's bad because of this. And you have to throw the trap and walk away, and it sort of ends up being a bad build sometimes. But it was fun. It was fun to see how that ability would change into a trap, and it was just like, wow, I've got so much freedom with this game. Yeah.
I just want to ask a question about this. So, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because Path of Exile, just like blows my mind, like the amount of creativity and like the build diversity that you can have, and all like how intense it is. What would you slot that on? Is that like on your weapon that you'd put that on? So, okay, so see if I got the concept correctly here. So let's say it's a weapon, and you've got a slot for your main AoE ability. In this case, it's an electricity attack that does an AoE, and then you have a support slot that does the throwable as well. So you don't have to be in the AoE; you could just throw the AoE. And is this on a weapon that you would slot that on?
All right, so I'll just step it back. I'll basically ignore what you said just to clarify better. No. Yeah, like,
okay, just ignore that stupid shit that he just said. I'm going to explain it again.
So there's 3 different colors of gems: red, blue, and green. Okay. And then you can have, let's say, 6 different sockets on each item. Don't worry about whether it's a weapon or not.
Okay.
And then like, some of them only have 1, some of them have 2. And then between some of the sockets, there are links, and you can use items to add links if there's no links. And you can use items to add sockets and stuff like that. But if you have one that with a link, and one's blue and then the other's blue, and you have a gem that is blue, it goes in the blue one, and then you have a support gem that's blue. If the support gem is linked to another compatible gem, like a compatible ability, and it tells you as well, it actually tells you, like, you highlight it or select it with your controller, and it'll say of your abilities that are equipped, which ones it'll tick for ones that will actually function with. So the game does tell you that, at least. And then you put it on there, and it'll tell you whether it's going to add more cost to it, or like reserve mana, but don't worry about that. Now, there are some abilities that must be put on weapons. But those ones that I was talking about, the AoE, doesn't force you to put it on a weapon. They're generally ones like, let's say it's like a backstab ability. it will say it must be put on a short sword. It wouldn't let you backstab with like a hammer, and it wouldn't let you backstab with a boot. So a lot of my gems can just be pushed around anywhere I want. There's none that I can think of right now that force me to use it on a certain piece of equipment. So there's good freedom there. But then I think from what I've seen, the only ones that are forced on a certain piece of equipment are ones that would need a specific like weapon. Yeah.
That sounds like math.
So I hope that answers the question.
Sounds like math. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do you find it frustrating that, like, let's say you've got like a weapon and ability that you like, and you've got links the way that you like.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard grinding for gear to like replace that gear that you already have because you got to look for that specific like?
So I'm in Act 10 now. Like I've been in Act 10 for about an hour and a half, and I've really hit a wall for like I'm getting one shot a lot of the time, and I'm now at the point where I haven't been upgrading gear. I haven't been adding gem socket. I did once add a gem socket to a piece of gear that was really good, and I wanted to keep it. Whereas I've just been going, okay, I'm not going to use any of these items that can add gems sockets, and it can add change the color of gem sockets, because you might get a gem socket that's all right and the links are all good, but some of the colors are wrong. But the items drop from you selling gear. Items drop, and you get the items to do all that changing from selling gear to merchants. Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm at the point now where I'm going to have to start actually honing my build.
Yeah. Like that's what I thought of. I was like, man, that sounds like it. You kind of like you get to that point where you're like, wow, I kind of hit a wall with my current setup, and I got to like grind to find upgrades that suit my play style or what I've been doing. Max, what are your thoughts?
I think it's cool to be able to have that kind of freedom to like change what you like, play it your way a little bit. Like, I don't know, it reminds me of the Gambit system a bit in Final Fantasy 12. Like you could turn things into something that they weren't intended to do for a whole new purpose, and like it just opened up like so much so many options for replayability is one thing, but like eliminated like grinding and just like switched up the flow of gameplay, and so I think those types of things are great in games.
Yeah, Path of Exile, I definitely feel like it's a game made for that type of tinker like player that like Diablo but wish they could do way more customizations and stuff, and then they definitely have fulfilled that niche. A little bit over my head. I would like to try it one day and then maybe see if I can grasp it. I'm still grinding through Diablo 4 right now. I'm level 96 in season 5. So by the time it comes out, I'll be level 100. And but I was telling Warren about this last night. I fought this like special boss that you have to like use special crafting items to be able to fight, and I was like doing no damage, and I'm like crushing everywhere else in the game, and then I go up against this boss, and I'm just like, wow, I'm not making any effect. And I had such good survivability where like I was getting a lot of life per second, where like I could survive its hits, but just I was like I could probably fight this boss for 3 hours and only be down like a quarter of its health, and I was like, nope, I just let it kill me. I was like, nope, I gotta do something different. Like I gotta make some broken build to be able to take this on.
This is the living.
No, that's a cool game mechanic. I can't think of one right now, but I like that. Like,
me neither. Pretty easy.
I guess a FromSoftware equivalency would be sort of how Elden Ring has sort of exemplified I think that's the right word, the Dark Souls 3 attacks for the swords. You know how certain weapons had like L2 abilities?
Yeah.
But now they got Ashes of War.
I forget what Dark Souls 3 calls them, but the Ashes of War. So in Dark Souls 3 they were... What was the stupid name?
Now. It's meant to be my favorite game.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
I can't remember. Yeah, like weapon power. Oh yeah. Anyway,
weapon arts. Is it weapon arts?
Yeah.
That's the one.
The arts of the weapons. What are they called?
So Dark Souls 3 weapon arts was like a new feature, and there was a cool concept, but people were like, oh, like the weapon that I like has like the shittiest weapon art, and then this weapon that I don't like has a really cool weapon art, and I wish I could switch them. And then they're like, oh, great idea for the next game. Yeah, that's a great mechanic. Yeah, I could go on about From Software mechanics all day, but like,
I guess we
No.
have to move on. Yeah.
yeah. Well, no, I want this to be your segment, so I wanted to stick to Path
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Exile,
No, I just thought
so-
it'd be better if you guys had idea that was similar. So next up, we got the NES game that I poorly explained last week, and I spent ages
your very
trying to find
detailed
it, and I couldn't.
description.
Yeah. And Josh Ayers got it immediately after the last show, episode 1. Go watch that if you got a chance, if you haven't already. Kung Fu was the name of it, and I felt so stupid when he said it because of the fact that he got it so easily. He said he's got it in storage, and it's. I obviously searched martial arts and things like that. I just didn't use the word Kung Fu, like specific fighting styles, and I'm an idiot. So there you go. Thank
Don't
you
you
very much.
miss
There it
the
is.
purity of the titles of those games from like the 80s and 90s? It's just
Right.
like Kung
Baseball,
Fu,
full face.
karate, hockey.
But yeah, I'm gonna buy that from Cash Converters. It's like a secondhand store, obviously a secondhand store. Gonna buy that. I'm gonna play it. So I have a NES still. So I'll hook that up and give it a play.
Gotta get a
Retro review
Q-tip
coming out.
and then
Yeah,
put some
yeah.
alcohol on it, and then or you could lick it if you want to go old school, but that's disgusting.
Yeah. All right, so that's all sorted.
Good.
Next segment. Okay, this is a new segment. We've never done this one before. Max's segment. Now he's going to have
Yeah.
a discussion about speedruns, and leave it to you, Max.
Yeah, thank you, Wara. So, yeah, this was an idea that I actually came up with very recently. Jimmy and I were talking. We were just texting. Yes, the speedrunning is like a whole subgenre category that I'm fascinated with. Not just Souls games, but just all games in general. Like going back decades. Big fan of watching those fundraiser shows like Games Done Quick, and oh my god, there's one in Finland every year. Someone in the comments will know the name of it, the European one, and they're all, they're fantastic. It's gaming culture coming together, people sharing ideas, supporting each other, working together to sort of just optimize these games that they love, and it's just beautiful. So I wanted to spend like a couple of minutes each week and highlight a remarkable achievement in each game, or in different categories of each game. And so for this week I chose something that actually happened pretty recently. Just 2 days ago, a new world record was set in the original Dark Souls in the category called the category is called any % no wrong warp. I won't go into too much detail about what the wrong warp is. If anyone's interested, Catalyst Z, who is also a prominent Dark Souls speedrunner, has a fantastic YouTube channel with like hour-long videos explaining these glitches and the runners and all the people involved in way more detail and eloquence than I could. But just to be brief on it, basically Dark Souls is split into like a couple of major categories. There's any % no wrong warp, and all bosses. And there's probably, I think, one more that I'm missing. But the one that I'm talking about today is any % no wrong warp. A Canadian runner by the name of Monkeh, Monkeh, in 37 minutes and 27 seconds. It's a phenomenal run. What I like a lot about this one is one of the, I guess, not the downsides of speedrunning, but because it is a good thing. Ultimately, we want to be saving time, but as a result of saving so much time on these games, a lot of chunks of gameplay get cut out because it's just shorter and shorter, and we're skipping more and more bosses. And but in this category, we actually get to see like quite a few boss fights, which is great. The order is all over the place. Like the run uses Sen's Fortress skip, which I know, Jimmy, you've actually done because I watched you on Twitch.
Yeah.
a couple of years ago performed that glitch where you go out of bounds and you use a camera, an out of bounds death animation to like go underground. Skip sends Gates Fortress completely. So that's really cool. There's a lot of really good glitches in the game. He fights Quelaag after Ornstein and Smo. So the order's all over the place, but it's really, really fun. The Black Knight halberd is the weapon of choice in this run.
Wow.
Which anybody who knows Dark Souls that's
BKH.
More or less the most powerful weapon in the game. And it's cool to see that because for years like people were using the Great Club and move swapping other weapons and but to see the Black Knight halberd sort of reign supreme put a smile on my face for this one. Love it. Anyone interested in more Dark Souls speedruns, there's a website called speedrun.com that has every single run up to date. They're verified by channel moderators. The link to the YouTube video is right there, so it's like super organized. All the categories are there and visible. So yeah, check this one out. New world record 2 days ago in the 90% no wrong warp category in Dark Souls.
What was the record speed time that was beaten? Like, how much did he beat it by?
Oh, in this category, like.
Yeah, in this category, yeah.
It's not super optimized. I mean, at this point, we're talking like people are beating. Let's see, what's the second place run? I think it's like a few seconds. I mean, we're talking like
like you're talking a game that came out in 2011. Like by this point, the routes for these speedruns are so optimized. Like you're beating world records by seconds by this point.
Yeah.
The runners at this point are essentially. They're fighting against RNG more than anything. Like they'll do like 1,000 runs perfectly, and it's just a matter of like, oh, did that boss do that attack 2 times in a row or 3 times in a row? And that is the difference between saving 4 seconds and getting a world record.
Did I get the scripted fight that I want? Did the BKH drop? Like all that stuff. Yeah,
so there's actually still, as of today, because this is updated regularly, still 348 active players submitting regular runs in all of these categories for the original Dark Souls. So that's I mean, that's pretty healthy. That's a lot of people still out there, like, and there's forums, people that's what's so cool about speedruns. It's like the we spend a lot of time on as gamers, like complaining and talking about devs like ripping us off and like, I'm paying for this and this launched broken and like all the negative sides of gaming. But for me, like speedrunning is really like one of the more wholesome, like positive sides of gaming that really emphasizes like community and just like positivity, people working together.
I love speedrunning. Like I feel like for me, like the biggest honor that you could show a game is 1 by platinuming it or like getting the 100% in the game, and then 2 is by like challenging yourself and then doing your own kind of speed runs for it. So for those who don't know, like the any percent category is just when you roll credits. The fastest point from starting the game to getting to the end credits. That's called any percent. And then there's like all bosses. So you do every single main boss in the game. And then like Max brought up earlier, so any percent wrong warp is there's this glitch in the game or exploit in the game where I think you use a DLC item, isn't it? I don't know. And then you like perfectly frame trigger this item with like an Estus flash chug, and then it warps you to the end of the game.
To the killing, yeah.
It's like this specific part where you have to like run off a ledge and then use it, and it triggers this. So you can do that, and then like Max was saying, no wrong warp is you don't use that exploit and you go through the game through a specific way. But I love that. I love speed running, even though like I'm not like good at it, but like I still love challenging myself and being like, how fast can I beat this game? And like I always go through cycles. Like you go through your first playthrough and you know, because you're discovering the game for the first time, you know, your playthrough is going to be dog shit because you're just like, you're getting used to the game. You don't know all of the advantages to the in-game mechanics yet. Like in Path of Exile, you don't know all the supplementary gems that you should be using to get the most insane AoE build. But yeah, like, and then your second time through, you're like, okay, how can I get through this the fastest? Like, what are the necessary items that I need to pick up to be able to get through that? I love that stuff. Like, you didn't bring them up though, but my favorite speedrunner is Distortion 2, and he does all the Souls games. And like, for me, like when Elden Ring came out, it was electrifying to watch him when he figured out the zip warp glitch, and when he beat Elden Ring in like 4 minutes. Like, that was insane. Like, it was like you're like, that stuff I'll never be able to do, but it's so fun to watch. And I'm with you, Max. Like, I love the speedrunning community and just watching them. Wara, what about you?
Oh, I love speedruns as well. It's funny you talk about Dark Souls 1 because I think his name's Sanzo speedrunner. Sanzo84 or Sanzo? Is that his name?
I've never heard of him.
Not too sure.
I'll check on his name later, and we can see if we can put his name up.
Sorry, Sanzo.
Yeah. He would speedrun, like when my twins were they're 4.5 now, but when we were having to get them up at night time to give them bottles and stuff, me and the missus would watch him speedrun. And like, my missus has never played Dark Souls 1, and because we watched it, he was always streaming at like 2 a.m. in the morning our time. She started to learn the whole speedrun, and she'd be like, oh, that was a quick fight. Like, she'd know, because we watched it so much, actually play the game, she would know what a good RNG was for like certain
really
fights
cool.
and stuff like that. And she's like, oh damn, that was, like the Sense Fortress skiff, I'm pretty sure he was using and stuff like that. But obviously that's just either works or it doesn't. But yeah, no, I do love and appreciate speedrunning community. I've never done like seriously speedrun stuff before. I'm not I guess good enough. But at Distortions 2, I was watching him as well when he was trying to get into the Demon Souls remake chest.
Yeah, oh, that was a
good before
time.
before they knew how to open the door. He was like standing above it. He's like, it's right there. How do I get to this chest?
Yeah, because they put invis walls around the item because they knew people would find a way to like drop down or like cheat geometry and get there. But they were like, no, like, you got to figure out this door, bitch.
Yeah, so I was commenting like, maybe it's DLC, paid DLC, like Sony loves it. No. Yeah. He was like, no, it's not DLC, it's there, it's right there. But yeah, no, he figured it out. Respect the hell out of all the speedrunners, and Distortions 2 has great content. Yeah,
I love it. Like, I remember that too. Like, I remember when they announced Blue Point, they announced the Demon Souls remake, and then they talked about the Fractured World mode, and it was just mirrored. And I was like, what a stupid mode. Like, who the hell's going to use that? And then lo and behold, that's how you get the special coins to be able to open that door. And it's just like, I don't know, like, even playing it, like, gives me, like, makes my head hurt because it's just like, you feel like you're going through things backwards. It's weird, but
it's because it's because your mind is seeing something that's like wrong because you've learned the other way.
Yeah, right.
This isn't right. I know it's not right. Yeah.
Like, you know this game you've played 100 times? What if you played it, everything's reversed and to the left? Or like you played it looking through a mirror. Like, it just makes me like, I think it's a weird feeling.
All those boss attacks that you've memorized, now it's the opposite and you're dying every single time, right?
Yeah, you're like,
getting hit.
God.
Maybe you're actually maybe you're actually good in the mirrored world, Jimmy.
Yeah. Hey, maybe I can play Sekiro in the mirrored world, and maybe I'll be good at it. But what I was gonna ask Max is like, one thing that I do, because I make these, again, shameless plug, I make these easy guides for people to play through the FromSoftware games, and a lot of those I just ape a bunch of the speedrun strats, and that's how I get through the game. So easily. And it's funny because, like, I'll go through Dark Souls and I show you how to farm the BKH and, like, where to get it and, like, how to get it the easiest. And it's funny, like, or like Bloodborne, I'm like, just use the saw cleaver. It's the best. And then I have people that'll be like, actually, like the axe is like the best. And I'm like, bitch, you don't even know. Like maybe you played through the game once and you beat it once. Good for you, but get the fuck out of the way. Like real gamers are talking here.
Yeah,
I'm showing
honestly.
you all the OP strats. It's like use the BKH, use the saw cleaver, like use these weapons.
These are tested, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, go
actually,
look up
yeah.
speedrun.com. It's just like they're not using the fucking axe. Like they're not using the Claymore in Dark Souls Remastered for the speedrun.
Claymore.
Yeah, that's an example of people not being able to separate preference over like objective, like better weapon. You know?
Yeah,
like,
metas. Like they're just
Yeah, like it's
No,
like the
definitely.
opposite. It's the opposite with like fitness equipment. Like, let's not turn this into a fitness podcast, but people will be like, "Oh, what do you think's better for like losing weight, a treadmill or a rowing machine?" It's like, well, it depends on what the person prefers. If someone hates rowing, then it's obviously going to be a treadmill. If someone hates running on a treadmill, then it's obviously going to be the rower. Like the point is, they think that weapon is better because they prefer using it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's preference. It's familiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
plays
I'm happy
off
for
and the
you.
play style, yeah.
I'm happy that you did your first Dark Souls playthrough, but it's just like the Claymore definitely ain't beating out the BKH. I'm sorry, like it's just not. Max brought up a thing, and like this was a speedrun strat that blows my mind in Dark Souls 1 is weapon swapping. And so what they'll do, they'll take the dragon's tooth and then like I think it's called tumble swap. I don't know, but like they'll have the e-stock, or it's one of just
it's the e-stock. You get it in New Londo Ruins, and it has an animation where it attacks twice.
Yeah.
And you can move swap it to something that is a two-handed, like really slow attack.
Yeah.
To basically use the power from that two-handed weapon with the animation from the quick, like dagger, and just destroy bosses. Like
it's
oh my
nuts.
God.
Yeah, so like a weapon that you don't have the stats for, and like just does like insane damage, but it's slow as shit. They'll do like a tumble roll and then quickly switch to the other weapon, and then like you're using a dragon's tooth like it's an e-stock, and you're just doing like double jabs, and like I'm just like, how do people figure this out? And like that's why I love speedruns, because you just like you watch like these in-game exploits that are like almost cheating, but like it's in the game. But what you don't realize is like, yeah, that's cheap, like when you go against the bosses with that, but like the talent that it takes to be able to pull that shit off, especially in a boss battle, is like insanity.
Oh, definitely the skill level. A lot of these glitches are like almost frame perfect, or are frame perfect too, and like some of them happen late into the run. So if you screw that up, that's like you're starting over, and like to deal with that pressure, like there's just so many things that go into getting a real, like a world record run, for example. That's just like it's just so optimized. I love it,
especially with Dark Souls 1. Like you're resetting like after like 30 seconds. You're like, no, I did that wrong.
No, that's not the one.
Reset. I love this segment. So Max, I'm happy you brought this up, because I love it. I think more people need to get into speed running, and it doesn't have to be about Dark Souls games. Like just look up your favorite game and then speed run, and then watch people just like dunk on you and show you like a whole new way to play that game.
Even and games from, I don't care how old you are, like people are still, the Super Mario 64 speedrun community is alive and well. Like games that are decades old are still being run regularly, and new strats are still coming out for them. And I regularly watch like Majora's Mask runs, and like just games from my childhood, something that just makes you feel good, something that evokes nostalgia, and like go and support those people and have a good time.
I think we're ready to go to the next section.
I just googled the guy's name. He's from Finland. His name is Santzo84. Santzo84.
Santzo.
He's ranked 8th for Dark Souls 2, 26th for another run in Dark Souls 2. Where's
He's not even top 10 for Dark Souls. Like, why are we even talking about him? I'm joking.
yeah, no, he did hold a record. He did hold a record previously.
Let's put
so-
all these people in the video description. So we're gonna put
no doubt.
speedrunners.
So,
Like,
yeah.
Definitely check these people out.
Dark
Yeah,
Souls
no doubt.
Remastered, he's 11th for all bosses. Near, that one. He's like 4th in that. Dark Souls 3, 105th. Demon Souls 5th. He's 5th in any percent for Demon Souls on PS3. Yeah, it's just someone I just happened to be watching. Like, we just watched him all the time. And he's 8th for Dark Souls 2, all bosses. Whoa, what a slog, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, just wanted to clarify that I wasn't getting his name wrong. But yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, no worries. All right, yeah, great segment. I love that one for sure, 100%.
Thanks.
All right, or any percent, I guess. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. What was your okay? So, what was our personal favorite generation? Gaming generation? Yeah, sorry. My easy answer would be the 360 PS3 generation. Like I think I touched on last week about having like multiple consoles at home, like all connected via LAN and stuff like that, and having COD parties and all the rest. But it's hard to sort of land on that when I just like it was fun with friends, but was that just like a good time with friends, or was it actually the gaming? So I think that realistically, like my favorite would be PS2 generation. I never had an original Xbox, but I had a few mates at school who had like Morrowind and stuff like that, and Halo. That all talk about Halo. I never played it at the time, and didn't feel the need personally. I didn't really do shooters a lot back then, except for on PC. I'd play Battlefield 1942 and Vietnam and Battlefield 2. Oh, that's a bit later anyway. Sorry, thinking of the timeline. But yeah, probably PS2. Similar games to what I mentioned last week with like Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12. Having a blank. Kingdom Hearts. Like I love Kingdom Hearts. It's pretty lame to say it as a 34-year-old, but that game was really good. Like
I still listen to that soundtrack regularly. Like I love that. I love that game. Yeah.
yeah. Like one of the one of the songs I had on my playlist for when I just ran the 100-kilometer ultra recently.
Humble brag.
No, I didn't finish it, so it's not really much of a brag. But anyway, yeah, 70.
You didn't have to share that part.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh well.
We would have believed you. Yeah.
22 games. But anyway, but yeah, like I do like the soundtrack and stuff like that. And like obviously, I don't. Sorry, not obviously, but I don't follow Kingdom Hearts as much anymore. But I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, PS2 gen for me. I think once I wipe away the obvious like social aspects of the 360 generation, because like that's more about just having fun with friends. But anyway, yeah. Who wants? Yeah.
Max, how about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think as I get older, I have a it's more and more challenging to find time to play games. God, what I wouldn't give for just like a 10-hour marathon of just anything, just like I did in my early 20s, just nothing to do and just no one to talk to, and just no, I'm not going to this party. I'm, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I miss those days like desperately. And I'm trying to relive them. I started collecting games from my childhood again, and I've got like, you guys can't see it here, but I've got this big shelf of really good condition GameCube games and PS2 games that I've been finding on eBay and paying way too much money for, and but just to like get a piece of that, that era, to get back to the GameCube and the PS2 era where I got like the most of my gaming done, and playing Resident Evil 4 every Halloween and Final Fantasy 12, and oh my god, just so many that era of like of sleepovers and just just being a gamer. Like that's when I really, that was for me. I got into gaming late. I never had an N64. my first console was actually the GameCube, so I only got a chance to play video games like when I went to friends' houses, and I was like, so I had to wait a long time, and then when I finally got my GameCube and spent all my paper route money on games, and I got my PS2, it was like that was like I'd made it, like I earned it, you know. I didn't just ask for an N64 for Christmas and get one like all my other friends. Like I had to earn that shit for whatever reason. I don't know. Like my parents thought I wasn't ready. So yeah, I'm just still trying to relive that era. And I have so many good memories from that time period. PS2, GameCube era for sure.
I'm gonna blow your guys' minds here, but like me personally, I was always like, I don't want to tell this like Jimmy Fortron sob story, but like I was always kind of like that dork in school that like kind of like played games and like I don't know, like I had friends and stuff, but like when I think about it, like I never really got into a lot of like the online multiplayer games. I never was really into that. I was always just like into like the offline play single player experience. And sure, like the PS1, yeah, Final Fantasy 7 was dope. Like Final Fantasy 8 was awesome. And then but when I really think about it, my favorite generation, I gotta say, is like the PS4 era. And like, because like you get Bloodborne, you get Dark Souls 3, you got Sekiro, like those are massive games for me. And Final Fantasy 7 was a huge game for me because that was like the first time I ever got like emotionally attached to a game, and you're just like, whoa, like, and that game was like so innovative for the time. It was like the first, I don't know if it was the first, but it was like the first for me like game that had like we called them FMVs back then, fast motion video. Instead of like CGI cinematics or whatever. But like, yeah, like that was the first game that like had this message that like when you're so palpable for a teenage boy, especially, you're just like, yeah, like I don't want to pollute the world, like I want to like save the environment. And like, yeah, I wish I had like 3 bitches who just wanted me like Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie, like, yeah, you're like, yeah, you want to be that guy. But like that was a great experience. But like when I really got into like Bloodborne and like Dark Souls 3 and then Sekiro for the time, and then like I can't count them, but like Dark Souls 2 was out on PS4, and then Dark Souls Remastered. So like that section right there, we're living in a pretty good time right now, but that section right there, I gotta say, just again, for those FromSoftware games, thank you so much, Miyazaki. Like oh my god,
yeah,
like 45 for the sorry, I do want to point out that like I love this generation as well. Like it's easy, depending on what type of person someone is, like it's easy to look at all the negative, like Max touched on before. Like there's a lot of negative side of gaming that's going to happen when, you know, capitalism comes in and there's a lot of money involved. Like you have a lot of people who just want money back and they don't really have the passion for gaming when they're making games like, let's just shit on it specifically, Suicide Squad, for example, seemed like a bit of a cash grab. But yeah, like there's a lot of positive sides of games, and you saying PS4 gen, like PS4 gen for me as well, like it was amazing as well. It was I think that would be second. I think, but yeah, anyway, we're not going through a tier list, so
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Anyone want to touch anything else, or we'll go next? Go on to the next topic.
I just want to say, I'm not a purist like Max is, and like I also want to relive a lot of those games that I missed out on, like as a kid. Like I've recently been playing, like I played Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I also played, like I just finished Final Fantasy VIII this year, like because when I played it way back when, I got to the end because I played it like FF7 and I tried leveling up, and that was like the first game where they made the enemies level up with you, and I didn't take advantage of the draw or junction system, so like I just got dunked on at the end and I couldn't finish it. So I finally finished that, and I want to play more games that I never really played younger. Like I haven't played Chrono Trigger, and I know that's a big one that I should play. I've never played like Xenogears. I've never played Vagrant Story, a lot of those incredible JRPGs that were from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that's a hell of a list right there.
Yeah.
Some of those gems you just mentioned, and those are also a few of those are also on my list as well, which is really interesting. So let's see.
I got inspired by you, Max. You're playing through the pixel remasters of the Final Fantasy games. And like, I don't know if I want to go back that far, but I definitely want to play Final Fantasy 6 or in North America, Final Fantasy 3. Yeah. Because that one's renowned as like the best Final Fantasy. And I definitely want to play 10, and maybe not so much after reading your review of it. But I definitely want to play 10, and I want to learn what the Gambit system so I could be in on this joke with you guys. So I want to play 12.
You got to play 12. You got to play 12. Yeah.
And then
I'm interested to hear your feedback on the Gambit system, Jimmy. I really want to. I'm really interested.
Yeah, maybe that'll be in the future. But yeah, like I definitely, I want to replay those games that I missed out on.
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah, and I'm going to go replay Nez Kung Fu.
Yeah, you better.
That's right.
You're going to do a speed run of it by next week.
I'm hopefully picking it up today. Okay, so next up, we got... Are you ready, Jimmy?
Are we doing the FromSoftware 2-minute defense?
Yeah, I'm actually going to order a medieval helmet and put it on. So, like, yeah. No,
it's going to be good.
All right, so here we go. Don't start it until you start talking, but the timer. But all right, so the hitboxes are bad in Souls games. Why does FromSoftware not fix this?
I don't think they're bad. The only game that I agree that the hitboxes are bad in is Dark Souls 2. And the defense that I'll make for Dark Souls 2 is it's a completely different engine that any of the other games are on. Because for those who don't know, Hidetaka Miyazaki didn't direct Dark Souls 2. It was two other directors. I don't remember their names. Because Miyazaki was working on Bloodborne at the time when they were partnered with Sony. So Dark Souls 2 definitely has some questionable hitboxes. But they're like... if you slow-mo your footage, like there's definitely times where I've been like, what? That hit me? That's bullshit. And then I'll slow-mo my footage and I'll see like I'm ducking like sword attacks and then they're going right over my head and they miss me and they don't hit me. And then I'll watch other footage that I slow-moed and then I'll be like, okay, yeah, that clipped me. And like that'll be why I got hit. So I don't agree with that. I feel like the only game that has bad hitboxes is Dark Souls 2. And I feel like a lot of people would agree with me on that.
Okay, yeah, so it's more so the people who think that the hitboxes are bad in, let's say, Elden Ring, are really just need to go back and review their footage, and it's not actually the hitbox, it's just they got hit.
I feel like for people that feel like the hitboxes are bad in Elden Ring, one, take your console or your gaming platform and then just find the box that you got with it and then just pack it all up. And then there's this great website. It's called ebay.com. Go on there, set up a profile, and then just put that shit up for sale because you shouldn't be playing games because the hitboxes in Elden Ring are so fair. You can like duck in the game and shit will miss you. You can jump and the whole lower half of your character NPC has no hitbox.
Well, what about the, sorry, I think, what about the hitboxes for the enemies and bosses? Like when you're swinging to hit them.
Fun fact, WaraWana in the Elden Ring DLC, none of her body has an active hitbox against you. Only her weapons do. So, like, you know how sometimes when you fight bosses and if you touch them, you'll take damage? That's bullshit. So, like, you could totally be right up against WaraWana and you won't be hit with anything unless her sword hits you. And then the boss's hitboxes, I feel like they're very generous with where you can hit and the boss will take damage. And they even have it where like the head will take more damage and the head will cause more stagger damage. And like a lot of games, it's just like one big hitbox, I feel like. And the only boss that's really tricky, I would say, is the Dancy Lion because it's two people. And like the whole middle doesn't really have a hitbox there. And that's cool that they did that.
I like that, yeah.
I can maybe see with like some of the bigger bosses, like the Madirs and maybe even the Bales, like they're just so big and it's hard to like hit them in spots because they're doing big attacks. Like let's use Madir as an example in Dark Souls 3, the Ring City DLC. Like you'll hit, I've gone way over the 2 minutes by the way, but I feel like my original defense was they don't have bad hitboxes. Only Dark Souls 2 does.
Yeah, that's okay.
fucking get good, or like
Get
just
good.
stop playing games.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a new hobby. I don't know. Like maybe you can go write Wukong reviews for IGN. I don't know. But anyway, stab. Let's use Midir as an example. So Midir is a tough boss for people because he takes almost no damage in anywhere but his head, and a lot of people will try to be under him, or they'll go to where his tail is, and then they'll try to get attacks on his tail. And you do like a little bit of chip damage when you do that, but the game's mainly teaching you like go for the head, like try to align yourself, make sure you can get yourself where you can get some attacks on the head and learn the movement pattern so you can dodge out of its big swings or know when to see the tells when he's going to breathe fire. And that's a boss fight that can be tricky for some, but I think it definitely rewards you when you learn the proper hitboxes, which are its head. Because then you get the big stagger, and then you can get the riposte on it.
Yeah, I think that some of the issues might be coming from people who maybe watched someone else kill a boss with a certain weapon, and then they've got a different weapon, and they like it's more along the lines of the issue is with their weapon like length. They don't know how far it should hit.
Oh yeah,
You get what I'm saying? I think that might be because there's so many different weapons in Elden Ring and Souls games. That I think that the issue might be arising from people not understanding like a poke, how far it'll hit and things like that. But it's hard when people just throw out blanket statements. But a lot of people
if you're using like an ultra great sword against the regular bullshit wyvern dragons in Elden Ring, and you're doing like horizontal swings, and you're completely missing the dragon's head because you can't aim up that high. People like bullshit hitboxes. It's like, no, it's the weapon choice that you've made. And some of those ultra great swords have like an R2 that's like a vertical attack, or maybe you got to two-handed to do the the vertical attack, and then you got to switch it up. And it just shows you for the people that say shit like, Elden Ring or FromSoftware is R1 simulators because you just mash R1. It's like, you can in a lot of scenarios, but a lot of them will test you with things like that where it's just like, no, you're in a hallway, you can't just hit R1 because you'll do a side attack and you'll just hit the wall and your weapon will bounce off the wall. Or like you're up against a boss that their head is elevated, and if you just do an R1, you'll swing below its head. You got to do those R2s and then do the vertical swipe attacks or utilize the jump attacks, things like that. I feel like the people that are complaining about hitboxes are not utilizing all of the mechanics that the game gives them. That's why they complain.
Yeah, I think that what you said at the start was the best point is just review your own footage, have a look at it slow down, and see whether, because I think anyone blaming the game as opposed to their own ability won't get better as fast if they're just like constantly blaming something else that's not them. But anyway, yeah. We'll move on.
You want to see some bullshit hitboxes? Watch Lords of the Fallen 2023. There were so many clips where like you'll be running across a bridge and an NPC will come out to push you, and it's like as almost a scripted moment because they'll be like 5 feet away from your character and you'll still get the impact from the push, and you're just like, that's bullshit. And games like even like Lies of P, where I think it's an issue with Unreal Engine as a game engine, where a lot of the enemy NPCs, they have perfect tracking with their attacks. And what I mean by that is the enemy will defy gravity and clip through geometry to perfectly hit you. And I think that's bullshit. Where in Souls games where people claim that happens, the enemies that are hitting you, if they're doing like a big swing attack, they have to commit to that attack, and if it misses you, it's going to miss you. Whereas I find in other games, an enemy will like do like a big wind up, and then their attack will like perfectly like turn and hit you because you've moved away from where the natural trajectory of the attack should have went. And I think that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, I think Lies of P is a good example of like that tracking that you're talking about. Is even when they're doing grabs and like the enemy's jumping forward, no matter how much you roll back, they will get to you. So it's like the Unreal Engine just doesn't want to track a distance; it wants to track to another body like yourself. So it just gets the enemy that's about to jump. It's not like I'm going to jump 30 feet. It's I'm going to jump to exactly that thing's location, no matter where it moves to. and that's why it always hits you. A lot of times it seems like it always hits you.
That's a really good example. Like a grab attack should only be like 3 feet in front of you, but instead the NPC can grab you even if you've run 10 feet away. It'll still snap to you. And like I even had it where an enemy did a jumping attack and there was a bridge above it and it jumped through the bridge and hit me. Like its whole body clipped through the bridge geometry and hit me. And I was like, what are we doing here?
Well, that brings me to my next question. What generation or what year do you think we'll get to where a boss could jump like that and it'd hit its head and fall backwards?
Oh my God. Like,
that would be hilarious.
Game developers program that into your next game. Like,
that'd be hilarious.
Think of Sekiro, the Raging Bull, where you can throw the sparks. What do they call it in that game?
The firecrackers.
The firecracker. You could throw the firecracker and it startles the bull where it runs into a wall and knocks itself out and you can just insta-kill it. Like, that's genius. Like, imagine if you threw the sparks and then the bull ran into the wall, clipped through the wall, and then went reverse and then, like, still rammed you. You'd be like, that's bullshit. Like.
Yeah.
All right, next segment. Jimmy's had long enough.
Yeah.
No, that was good. All right.
Another glaze fest. We should call this the 2-minute FromSoftware glaze fest. That ends up being longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah. Jimmy's jaw getting sore. All right. All right. So next up, we got a game which is called Ashes of Creation. This is a game that's been in development, let's say 4 years roughly. It's an MMO, like MMORPG, similar to Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, and that's what it's sort of trying to be when it releases. They've announced recently that their Alpha 2 player testing will be $120 for access for the first run. Second run's $110, and third run is going to be $100. Now, these are giving you access solely to Alpha 2 testing, not any beta testing or any other stuff on release, nothing, just for this alpha testing, and there's no set length in time. And their previous Alpha 1 testing, they had it so that you had like a few days roughly to play on and off, so it was just like different runs of like attempts to like tries for playing. It seems like these are targeted at streamers who want to stream the game maybe, or people who are diehard fans, but I've followed Ashes of Creation for a few years now, and I almost did one of their early like founders packs, which would have given me access to one of the runs. I don't know which one, whether it was alpha or beta, depending on which one I bought. I could have got into any, but it would have also given me items at release and game access at release. So this is new for even them, but my issue with it is that not that they're doing anything overly wrong. They can do whatever they want if people are willing to spend. Like, they could make it $120 to have 1 day of alpha access if they chose. The issue I have is for the industry itself as a whole. May see this, and if it's a success, we are going to see paid alpha and beta testing, I think, for some games in the future. This just feels, yeah. Anyone else want to chime in before I just go on a tangent?
I agree. But I also feel like if they weren't going to do it, someone else is going to do it, and
someone has to be first. Yeah.
When I think about it, again, bringing it back, getting a chance to glaze here whenever I can. When FromSoftware did the Elden Ring network test, that was free. You just had to go to the Bandai Namco website and you had to put in your information, like what console you have, PS4, PS5, Xbox, blah, 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 blah. And then random people got selected for the keys to be able to do the network test. And the network test it was free. You got to play Limgrave, and it didn't get you anything when the game came out. It was just a chance to play the game and test the network settings and see how the game worked with multiplayer invasions, blah, 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 blah. I did not get selected, and I did it with multiple email accounts, and I ended up paying through a third party. I paid $40 so I could play the network test.
Damn, I would have let you play it.
So
I got in.
That makes you think, like, if they didn't do this and then they gave out the keys for free and then people sold them secondhand, isn't that the same thing? Or like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I definitely feel like it's a grubby way to get a bit of extra funding. And I think Asmongold, when he made his video, I'm sorry if you were going to touch on this, but
yeah, that's okay. You talk.
If the developers were just like, this game is very expensive to develop for, this is just an added way to support the development of the game. If you're really excited and you want to be a part of an alpha and see the game in the state that it's in and then give us feedback, you can pay this price and we'll give you a key. And then I think that would have been a bit more transparent. But he also brought up a point, and maybe you're going to make this point later, that I don't know, even no matter how transparent you could be with that, people are still going to see it as like, oh, they're charging for alpha.
No, I think I was actually going to say what he just touched on about transparency. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, it is still just still doesn't feel right. You know, you can be as like honest as you want about it and sell, you know, have your GoFundMe or whatever, your story of, oh, we've been working on this for X amount of time and it's this difficult, XYZ, but it's still like, this is a thing that's like never been done before. It's like, this could be a dangerous precedent. Open the floodgate for a lot
just imagine explaining that to like a significant other. It's just like, what's this $120 charge?
Yeah.
Oh, I bought access to a beta of this game. Oh, so you bought a game with it? No, I don't own the game. I just bought the ability to play it for a few hours in this window. And they're like, you got scammed. And you're like, no, like I'm supporting the developments. It sounds stupid when you say it out loud, is what I'm getting at.
All right, now go. Well,
even if they just like put through like the transparency.
We all want games to be better. We all want games to launch stable, and we want less glitches, and we want great mechanics and things that are polished. But like, can they just do that and charge a lot less? Like, maybe like we want as a community, like we want to be a part of this and we want to help the experience, but like that just seems like gouging to me still.
Yeah.
All right, let me say my piece. Now, I want to start off with, I'm not defending this. I'm not against this at the same time. I'm not, like, I don't really, it's like whatever. It is what it is, right? The players are going to do whatever they choose to do. If we made this so it was like crowdfunding just so you want to help support a game, it wouldn't be such a big issue. Now, this game is an independent developer. They've got a massive passion project. Like, that's the way I see it, and it's got like years of them doing open development with everyone. So this has been open from the beginning, and they've said they don't want outside. Well, sorry, I'm speaking generally here in my understanding. I may be slightly wrong, but my understanding is they're not looking for a publisher because they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be open with the community who's actually going to be there at launch. And while I fucking hate that it's set a precedence, because dick eaters are going to eat dick and be like, when Blizzard starts doing it for Diablo 5, you want to pay for alpha testing? Then dick eaters are going to go, well, Ashes of Creation did it. It's like, well, it's a little bit different, mate.
Yeah.
Certain studios have a lot of funding, right? Because there is a content creator who I disagree with. There's no point naming him. It's because it's not meant to be a personal attack. It's this whole mentality of you. I believe that games should release into early access, like Diablo 4. He believes should have released into early access for full price, and just released like that, because that way they get player feedback and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, yeah, but then you're actually asking for games to release unfucking finished. Right, that is what you're asking. And if you give these fucking companies an inch, they will take a mile. And the issue I see long term is that's just the start. At what point are they going to just start releasing? I'm talking like massive corporations now, like anything owned by a big corporation. Like, would you want the next Spider-Man game to release into early access, buggy and jank, or do you want it just to release when it's fucking ready? You know what I mean? Like, not that I'd play a Spider-Man game, but just saying something like. Why is it so fucking hard for some games like let's use the Diablo 4 example, because this is one that was specifically said. Why is it so hard for them to release a game finished when someone like FromSoftware could release a game that's finished and not ask for people to not ask for like people to pay for the game when it's in early access for a year? So, like I said, Dick Eater's going to eat dick, and that's what Asmongold basically said. And well, like Max said, it's setting a precedent, and I don't like it for Ashes of Creation. However, looking at all the information, seeing all the caveats, I can understand why this development team has asked for it. But we know where the eventuality is. You know, like we used to love, like people like, oh, free-to-play games, that's weird. How do they make money? Oh, microtransactions. Oh, it's just this, it's just this, it's just this. And then it's gotten where it was. But this is the part that I love, is no one stops us at the moment from being able to go buy old NES games, old PS1 games, old PS2 games, and enjoying them. Nothing can stop us from doing that yet. I say yet because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, imagine if they released TVs that like wouldn't play old games. But yeah, but, you know, like, yeah, let's not go down that road. Don't give them ideas.
Then you're gonna look up the YouTube video. Dick Sucker 69 shows you how to hack your TV so it will play, and then like someone will always find a way. Yeah,
but like this is, I think, like you've got people spending what is it, 20 grand in Star Citizen for a ship, like pixels. Yeah, like that. Like that's surely worse than what Ashes of Creation is doing, but that's also another company that's like self-funded and stuff like that. But none of it's good. Like I'm not defending any of it, but at the same time, they've been open. Like Ashes of Creation has been open about what they're doing. As Asmongold said in his video, the messaging was weird because they should have just said, we want to make it so that there's a scarce amount of people in the alpha, and it is what it is. You don't need to sit there and explain it and just sugarcoat it. Just it is what it is. We want money because development's expensive.
That's and one thing that I hate. I just want to say one thing that I hate about modern game development is, and it's a circumstance of just the modern society that we live in, is just every game company now, every development company, you got to have a sales team. You got to have an accounting team. You got to have a marketing team. You got to have all these people.
A psychologist as well.
Yeah, psychologists who know how to make the game just boring enough that you'll play it and just like you got all these people who have roles that do not revolve around actually playing the game or like being passionate about the game, and then they're the ones that are making these fucking dog shit decisions. Like there's like you got like, sorry to name drop, or like you got like Samantha in sales that's just like, you know what, like I think people really like skins, and it's just like, why don't we make our own skin? And and we've done all this market data that shows people are willing to pay up to $39.99 for the skin. So why do we make it so you got to buy the in-game currency, but you can't just buy $39.99? You got to buy a $50 tier of the in-game currency, and then the player will have $20 left over from their purchase, and then they can't buy anything with that left over, so they got to buy. It's all this bullshit. You got all these different levels of people that are in the gaming community that really shouldn't be there, and you got it where like I can't remember what developer is. He's old school and he has his own YouTube video or channel now, and he talked about in this game where he wanted the enemy NPC to have the specific AI to happen when you do an attack. And then the development team got back to him. They're like, yeah, we can do that in maybe 4 weeks. And then he was like, I can do that in like 2 hours. Like, why would that take 4 weeks?
That was the original Fallout developer.
Yeah, it'll take 4 weeks. And then he's like, I'll write it for you right now. And he wrote it on a whiteboard. And then he was like, just do that. And then they got really mad at him. And like that's happening everywhere. It's just like you have all of these tiers of like decision makers, and they can't just like figure out like, hey, maybe Starfield should have launched with a city map. And it's like maybe it should have launched with vehicles where you could traverse huge plains of nothingness a lot faster, rather than having to fucking run from point A to point B. That literally takes 10 minutes of running and like running out of stamina, and then having to wait for your oxygen to go back up, and then running again. So this whole thing with like charging for beta keys and stuff is just a circumstance of like all of these shitty tiers of positions being added to a game development company that used to just be like, 10 dorks in a basement that could program all of like the first Diablo or like the second Diablo or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just get back to making games again. Like it's too saturated. Like you said, there's too many jobs, there's too many incentives to like, oh, how can we make the most amount of money possible? Like, how about making the most awesome game possible? Like you don't need to be in here right now. Let's just the director, art designer, programmer, let's just like come together and like boil this down to what really matters.
Yeah, like the first few Mortal Kombat games, like NetherRealm used to just be like Ed Boon and like 4 other dudes, and like they made Mortal Kombat.
Totally the smallest teams.
That's all I really had to say. I just wanted to rant about all the.
Those were really good points. Like I was like.
Next time we'll try and not have the last topic be so depressing. Does anyone have any final plugs they want to do?
By the time that this comes out, I will have a write-up on the Diablo 5 or Diablo 4 Season 5 and how that run through went, and I should be playing Wukong, not Wolong 2. Or there, you are right though. It's funny that I'm tripping up on the name now, but there are like 3 games that have similar titles to them. So, but definitely I'll be playing Wukong. And also I just want to say thank you everybody for making the first episode such an amazing experience to like have that premiere. It was a lot of fun. So really stoked how you guys are receiving it so far.
Yeah, that premiere was a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody who came and chatted with us and left comments, and that was cool being a part of that.
Yeah, no, that was good, and I hope everyone listened to the last episode and went and saw Borderlands this week. And
Don't
do that.
The large popcorn and candy combo too, and spent $50. Yeah.
No.
Thanks again for everyone who watched it and enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed this one as well. And that's been episode 2 of Base Game Review Podcast, and I'll see you guys in Alpha 2 of Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, $120.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Episode 3.